Alrighty guys, we're back for some mono white spirit aggro, and this is a Streets of New Capenna standard build. We're going to go over the deck, then hop right into some normal play mode. But first things first, for anyone who may not know, I'm Redcat and I play aggro decks and any decks with red in them as well, so I hope that sounds fun to you guys. Also, we do got that relatively new Discord. If you want to join it up, there's a link in the description. I highly recommend it. So what do we got in the build here? Well, we're rocking 4 Lunarch Veterans. Even though it's not a spirit in and of itself, it does have that disturb cost, so we can eventually bring this back from the grave as a Luminous Phantom, which is in fact a spirit. The life gain on this card is going to be very important, which we'll see in just a second. We have 3 Paladin Class, just kind of an underplayed card in aggro right now. I'm kind of shocked we don't see this more, as the first ability can slow down the opponent pretty good. The second ability buffs a good wide board state, and this deck knows how to go wide for sure. And level 3 just straight up ends games. I don't know if we'll get to see the level 3 in this build in particular, but we might, and it, like I said, it closes out games pretty well. We have a couple Stonebinders familiars, and this is one of those cards that's like, it's in here because it's a spirit and it's a 1-drop, so it's going to work with some of our 2-drops, which we'll go over in just a second, of course. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of ways to actually exile cards on your turn with this. There's a few ways, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's really just in here because it's a spirit. We have 4 Usher of the Fallen, 1-drop 2/1 spirit. What else could you ask for? Well, it also has a boast. Unfortunately, the boast doesn't create more spirits, it just creates human warriors, but it's still pretty darn good. We got 4 Clarion Spirits. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 spirit. White spirit creature token with flying. Yep, this is the reason why the deck can go wide and go wide very, very fast. Unfortunately, Clarion Spirit has a huge target on its back for that reason. We have a couple Kabira Takedowns. Same concept, it goes wide, so this can act as pretty powerful removal when we need it, but also it can be land too. Or Luminarch Aspirant is just too powerful to not include in here. It can run away with games, as we see time and time again. Even though it's not a spirit, this is an aggro build, so Luminarch Aspirant made the list. We have 4 Rune of Sustenance. So the enchantment cards in this build is actually going to be pretty important, which we'll see in just a second, but also the lifelink is going to work well with Voice of the Blessed, which usually when you see spirits, it's rockin' blue as well, and so Voice of the Blessed wouldn't make the cut in a spirit build. Instead, we only ever see this in life gain builds, but gaining life off the Veteran and off the Rune of Sustenance is hopefully enough for Voice of the Blessed to just be worth it here in a normal spirit build. Also, plugging counters into Voice of the Blessed with Luminarch happens to be very good too. Also, I'm kind of surprised runes never see play outside of runes. Right, we only ever see them in Naya runes, or I guess we do see them in Selesnya enchants, which kind of is a rune build in and of itself too. I don't know, there's a lot of value packed into these runes, but yeah. In our 3-drop spot, we have 2 Borrowed Times, because enchantments are going to be important. This could easily be Skyclave, what is it? Skyclave, Apparition. I couldn't remember for the life of me. That's also a spirit, so that could be good too. The main reason I included the enchantment is because on the very top end here, we have 2 Hallowed Hauntings, which of course can generate more spirits for us every time we play an enchantment, so that could be really, really good. We have a couple Restoration of Eiganjos, a bunch of mana value 2 or less cards to choose from, right? Even discarding Rune of Sustenance off of a restoration, bringing the Rune of Sustenance back, equipping it to like a Voice of the Blessed, drawing a card off the Sustenance. Like, there's a lot of good stuff you can do with restoration, but eventually it flips into the Architect of Restoration, which it's not a spirit, unfortunately, but when it attacks or blocks, it does create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token, which is gonna be freaking awesome. We have 3 Katildas, so any deck that could properly run Katilda should probably run Katilda, because not only are there a bunch of vampires floating about, so it has protection from vampires, but lifelink is super important against Boros aggro, and this card can get chunky very fast, making it very hard for Boros aggro to remove, and then the lifelink just runs away with the game. It also has a disturb cost where you can bring this back as an aura, and then the enchanted creature just essentially becomes Katilda at that point, which is kind of insane. Is that everything in the build? Yeah, we got some stuff over here in the mana base to talk about. A couple Cave of the Frost Dragons. Hopefully this doesn't slow us down. It's very expensive for how few lands we have, but we'll see. A couple Seat of the Empires too. You guys know I like to run a couple seats even though it is legendary. I think that we often use the channel ability as removal, especially right now. I just got done bringing up Boros aggro, and it is everywhere, including in normal play mode. And so using this as removal is pretty important. Also, we do have Katilda as a legendary creature, so this could potentially cost 2, which could be good. And of course the Kabira Takedowns as well. But that's pretty much it, guys. It's a simple build. I think it's going to play pretty simply as well. Like, I don't think we're going to have too many big decisions, but we'll see, right? Either way, let's go ahead, take it into some normal play mode, and see how it does. All right, here we go. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. Oh, we're just waiting for the opponent. Oh, there we go. I thought we weren't going to find one for a second, but no. All I got to do is read. Okay. It's not bad. We have so many 1-drops in the deck that it's weird to not see any in the opening hand, but it is what it is, you know? Like, it's just not a bad hand at all. Also, drawing into the 1-drops while we have the Clarion Spirit is probably going to be pretty good. Oh my. We're up against a good old-fashioned mirror match. How do we want to keep up with this? What are the odds that we draw a 1-drop? Probably want to get Luminarch down. Start buffing. Because, yeah, how else are we going to keep up with this? They kind of went first, so dropping an Adeline or something like that, it might be an early nail in the coffin, but we do have a lot of great cards here, so nice. They missed the 3rd land, which usually would suck, but this is good for us because, yeah, they went first, so it's going to be nothing but catching up for the rest of this game. So this Kabira Takedown does hit the Thalia. Kabira Takedown hits Thalia, but we could also hit the adversary. I think it's Thalia because of how expensive everything is. Kind of ridiculous, actually, that we have to even do that. So that's going to be 6 damage swinging in next turn, and we should be able to take it, hopefully. We can block a token from an Adeline. Okay, they want to hit... Hallowed Haunting might be their hit, yeah. But we have a couple of good lines of play now. We can go Clarion Spirit, Voice of the Blessed next turn. Yep, take the 6. We cannot lose Luminarch because this is going to be very hard to keep up with. Another Luminarch. Beautiful. Okay, so we go Clarion Spirit into Luminarch. We get that 1/1 in the air that can block the Spellbinder. And we focus on... buffing. Let's see what they drop here. We are definitely on the defense. 4 mana open. It could be a Legion Angel, which would be really bad for us. We have Restoration into Voice of the Blessed next turn, which is really good. Brutal Cathar. Oh, they can hit the Spirit easily, but yeah, they definitely want to get rid of the thing with all the counters. The problem is they don't know how much more removal we have in the deck, and so eventually getting that back. My first thought was Spirit, so that way they can just swing in the air, because we're at 9. So, like, you know? Okay, down to 6. Lunarch Veteran. Oh, man. Yeah, getting some life gain right now could be huge. Look at that. Look at that. You gotta be careful. There might be more Brutal Cathars incoming. I'm gonna buff the Voice of the Blessed this time, because, yeah, putting an even bigger target on our Luminarch is just so bad. Yeah, no attacks. But we're getting set up pretty well here. Opponent needs more removal. Thalia's pretty good too. Really takes Hallowed Haunting out of the game. Elite Spellbinder hits the Restoration, pretty much taking that out of the game too. It's going to come down to a top deck now. Wow, this is rough. Stonebinder's Familiar is actually not half bad, but I'd rather try to get an extra spirit off the Clarion Spirit, but they could top deck another Elite Spellbinder. We're gonna swing with everything next turn, probably. Well, they don't want to swing with Brutal Cathar. Hear me out. The Clarion Spirit makes sense to me here, since they're gonna be swinging in the air anyways. And if we can spread this out properly. Right, so if we can swing. Actually, no, we just save the Veteran. Yeah, we save it as a blocker. Hopefully they don't switch it back to daytime here. I mean, I don't know how they would with only one card, but you never know at this point. Mono white is very scary, and we are not rocking a traditional mono white build, and so... yeah, not going first here was rough. Redain! Oh, more flyers in the air. Oh, I really hope they swing on the ground, because we need to get this... oh, we need to get a card to play here. Okay, okay. Rune of Sustenance. We can block in the air. How many counters till this has Vigilance? 4? Perfect. Let's draw first. Plains, yeah, we better play that. All right. Need to get that to Vigilant level. There it is. Oh, the lifelink. Swing on in. That's what I'm talking about, guys. What a draw. Back up to 14. And they get to take it, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Tell me that wasn't worth it. It might not have been worth it. Oh, no. No, I can't imagine any a play any different, because all we need is simple removal for the Brutal Cathar. And then we're back in this easily. Also, any land off the top gets us Restoration. Back to nighttime. Back to nighttime. Okay. Yeah, the Redain is scary. We're gonna start plugging that into Voice of the Blessed. Yeah, I really don't think there was a better line of play there for us. Hopefully they just draw land here or something. Okay, good. Yep, Redain puts us back down to 11. Usher of the Fallen is just like... we just really don't want to see it. I don't know what we want to see. We need removal for this. Like, really bad. Okay, Flying Vigilance. We can start swinging on in again. Look at Voice of the Blessed. Just putting in work, guys. Putting in work. Luminarch. Nice! Oh, man. I'd say maybe the Brute, because they don't know what kind of removal we have. But Redain would be good too, but with Voice of the Blessed being able to block successfully. Sure, Restoration. We can at least thin out our deck with grab a Plains, thin out the deck, and we can actually bring back the Rune of Sustenance when it comes time too. And this is going to be... I say it's going to be worth plugging into Voice of the Blessed. They're thinking about the Hopeful Initiate play to kill the Restoration, which could be pretty good so we don't get the Rune of Sustenance back. Yeah, we need to draw a Kabira Takedown. Seed of the Empire is not going to do anything. They're not going to attack with the Brutal Cathar into any of these. So we have another Restoration, but they'll eventually have another. So it's going to come down to their top deck. What a first match, guys. Usher. They plug this into Redain. It still doesn't do a lot, and they're going to have to chump with Redain next turn, right? Moonrage Brute makes more sense here. Full swing. Block there. Actually, we can take the 3. Let's get rid of that Brute right now. We can successfully block there. We can successfully block here. And we can successfully block right there as well. This is big for us, guys, because that means the opponent is just out. And so now we can start to, well, I mean, they're forced to block in the air here. We can get this down, and we're going to start buffing the other, right, we can play both of these without any issues now. Just go nice and wide. Plug, and full swing. Because we still have Vigilance in the Voice of the Blessed, which they are forced to block. Then they can block the 4/4, and 6 gets through nice and easily. I should have counted that before I got greedy playing all my other cards, but that's okay. Yeah, they're forced to block the Flying Voice, but either way it's over, so. GG opponent, a 10-minute mirror match there, but we came out on top. It was the lifelink, guys. Rune of Sustenance, like, coming in clutch. What a top deck there. That was insane. Holy cow. Let's get right into the next match. That was an awesome one. Holy cow, guys. Yeah. How do you guys feel about mono white overall? There seems to be a lot of hate for mono white, which is I guess a little surprising. Like, I get it, I guess, because so many people played it for so long. We don't see it as much anymore. We definitely still see it though. Get the Paladin Class down. That's probably removal, but it's not worth playing around removal since we have an extra Luminarch too. Also, if it was removal, it cost 1 more thanks to Paladin Class, which is on our turn, of course. Voltage Surge. They still could have Voltage Surged on our turn with the 2 mana too, but let's go with, yeah, Seat can come down. Luminarch and Usher. And we're actually going to buff the Usher because Luminarch already has a huge target on its back. Okay, Infernal Grasp. Yep. And we could just buff and swing on in, but honestly, Voice of the Blessed, nothing sticking there. Swing for 1. I really hope it's like another Infernal Grasp that they can't play because of Paladin Class. Aw, Invoke Despair. Well, that kills the Paladin Class too. The question is, what do we want to keep? I guess Voice of the Blessed because we have Rune of Sustenance. Clarion Spirit's good. If we had a 4th land, that would be incredible. So let's see. Even if we draw a land now, we won't get the extra spirit. Well, we can still play the Clarion Spirit too for next turn. But what are the odds that it's going to be a meat hook for 4? We better hold this back, which is awkward, but it's fine. Because they could drop a land meat hook for 4 and kill both of them, which would be really bad. Oh, Invoke Despair. Oh, that's the 2nd Invoke Despair. Kabira Takedown. If it's a 3rd Invoke Despair, the Hallowed Haunting gets gobbled up too. I don't think we need the takedown. I think it's better to have more land here. Especially if we have to take out like a Tybalt. A third Invoke Despair! Oh my goodness, guys. Oh, that is just brutal. Hopefully that's all of it. Yeah, 2 red open. Sure feels like some kind of removal here, doesn't it? So far, the opponent has only played removal spells, guys. A land off the top lets us power up Cave, but at that point, like, what are the odds of an Infernal Grasp? Probably pretty high. Yeah, Infernal Grasp. Well, at least we could power up Cave if we draw a land now. Worst comes to worst, we could always bring Katilda back and power up the Spirit, but it's not very good because the opponent has completely devastated our board, and all of the enchantment decline. Definitely want to hit that with a Borrowed Time. Right? Do we? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It sucks that we can't do anything else this turn, but that's worth it. There's a problem where a 4th Invoke Despair could happen. Blood type Harvester. Hey, Katilda could come in handy as a blocker if we need it. Man, I just feel like there's so much spot removal remaining in the opponent's deck. Even though that's all they've played. Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. That goes into the exile. 2 Voltage Surge, 2 Infernal Grasps, 3 Invoke Despairs, devastating our enchantments. I'm not giving up, though, guys. Opponent's gonna have to play this one out because I don't think it's over yet. We hit that even though they could hit the Borrowed Time and bring it back for another blood token. Like, is this really gonna be more removal? Another Voltage Surge. Dude, I can hear the opponent laughing. Oh my goodness, guys. That is rough. Yeah, removal tribal. I mean, that's gonna be rough to deal with for any aggro deck, unfortunately, even if we had a lot of protection. It's gonna come down to our draws, though, because, well, they have Hive, yeah. Yeah, now it's probably over. Very rough game here. They want to hit Katilda, yep. Down to 7. Oh, land. Well, I'm still playing this out because they're playing pretty fast too, especially if they have quests. Oh, there's the Tybalt. I knew that was going to come down eventually. Hit a Luminarch off the top and another Hive too. Very nice. Well, we're not dead yet, but we're pretty dead. Let's be real. Being at 7 though. Fable, nice. Wow. Yeah, they had so much removal. Soul Transfer was another removal. The Mauling. So much removal just packed into their opener. They didn't even have to search for it off the big score or anything. Brutal stuff. Wow, they're not powering up the Hive? As Menace. What? 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 Okay, no blockers for me. I understand, but... Rune of Sustenance. Huh. Yeah, sure, we'll play that. We'll play it. We probably just should have equipped it to like a Plains or something, but Paladin Class. Okay, we're dead next turn. We'll go ahead and play it all out. Drop the GGs. Even though we got completely destroyed this game. Holy cow. Good game, opponent. Yeah, that is something else. There was a lot of power over there, but that's like one of those type of decks where, like, what if they weren't up against a deck that cared? Like, what if they were up against other control? Like, that was so much removal. I guess that's kind of what Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Big Score are in there for too. Like it helps you like discard the removal and look for other stuff. Seemed like a really solid Rakdos control though. Really, really good. Shows the power of Voltage Surge overall too. Alright, good hand. Nice. Do we actually wait to play Lunarch? Probably not. I was thinking try to go Y. Well, that might change the way I see it. No. We still get a 1 drop down. Even if it means turn 2 Spirit, turn 3 power up Paladin Class or something. Oh, okay. Jukai Visionary. Yep, get the Clarion Spirit down. I have a bad feeling that it's not going to survive. If we're up against more Invoke Despair, then, whew, buddy. All the more reason to not play enchantment builds right now, I suppose. If that's what we're going to see, but I have a feeling... that we're going to be up against some more despair. Restoration helps us ramp. We could bring back Clarion next turn. I like that. Doesn't help us ramp. It helps us thin out the deck in this scenario. Because we're going to discard Plains to bring back Clarion Spirit. And then we'll be able to play the Veteran and Katilda next turn. Binding hits Restoration. I'd be shocked if they hit the Paladin Class. Yeah. And we're going to go... So this is Jund Control. That's pretty fun. With a Dig Up, too. Very nice. So we don't get to bring back the Clarion Spirit. But I think it's still worth playing the same 2 cards. If the Clarion Spirit was out there, then obviously we would have had more spirits. Katilda would have been a lot chunkier as well. So one thing we know, we don't want to spend too much mana in powering up Paladin Class. We pretty much can guarantee that there's Invoke Despair in their deck, because pretty much the main win condition of a Jund Control build is Invoke Despair, Jukai Visionary, get your Despairs back, drop Despair, do the same thing again. So at this point they're just looking, they're waiting for it, you know? Okay. We also know that Meathook likes to be around in those decks too. So let's not play Luminarch this turn, as awful as that may seem. We can actually see what we draw here too. This feels like spot removal. Feels like spot removal, but I might just be traumatized from the last match. So we could play a couple things, or we could just buff. I think we buff and just hope that the Invoke Despair doesn't come down, because right now we're playing around Meathook as well, so we don't want to play too many creatures. Ray of Enfeeblement on the Katilda. We're still gonna just swing for 2 life here, as silly as it is. They have 4 cards in hand. They have a Hive over here to make sure to take the Katilda out of the grave. And I would power up Hive full swing, but I'm a pretty aggressive player when it comes down to it. But they end up passing. Borrowed Time can't hit Visionary well because they can return it to hand. And if we try to target the Lunarch with the Katilda, it's most likely spot removal. And so I'm going to attempt the other Katilda here. Alright. We can't let them have too many turns anyways, so playing around a Meathook every single turn is probably not the correct play. Like, if they're gonna Meathook, they're gonna Meathook, you know? Right now, they can only Meathook for 4, and so No, that would still kill Katilda because the power... Because, wait. Yeah, because we'd lose Rune of Sustenance. So we might as well plug this into the Veteran. Infernal Grasp. Yep, we knew that the spot removal was chilling at some point in the opponent's deck. So, you know what would be insane? If they just don't have removal, we can bring the Katilda's Rising Dawn onto the Luminarch and just have a huge swing. That sounds so good. Titan of Industry. Whoo, buddy. Alright, there goes the huge swing. However, Borrowed Time. Borrowed Time does a thing. I just hope that... There's a problem with Borrowed Time, obviously, and I don't even think I have to go over it, because you guys already know Invoke Despair would be devastating. And so, yeah, taking the Rhino might be the play, but look at this, man. This has Reach and Trample. How are we ever supposed to swing in against that? Like, you know what I mean? If it isn't Invoke Despair, then it's just like 10 times worse, I suppose. Ah, whatever. I'll take the 4/4, and I'll try to buff Katilda, even though it's probably not going to get over the 7/7 before removal happens. Very tough matches, guys. Very, very tough matches against some control decks today. But the first match against aggro really showed that we do have a good chunk of power here. It comes down to, are we going to be able to survive against a monstrous amount of removal? And right now the answer is no. It does not appear that the deck can do it, especially against Invoke Despair decks. And so what could we do to change that? You know, not a ton. Not a ton. You could like splash blue and try to add like Test of Talents, but that would just be weird at that point. You'd start to lean it into tempo, and then you might as well just go for like an Azorius Spirit tempo build. This doesn't have reach, does it? So this just so happens to be a really good turn for us. Luminarch already has a target on its back, so we might as well give this to Clarion Spirit. Get a nice hefty swing in the air for 10 damage. Boom! Better watch out, opponent. You might not want to swing in with your Titan of Industry next turn. Yeah, the deck knows how to get damage through. The question is, yeah, how often can it go a turn without being removed, you know? Because we've gone through 2 Ray of Enfeeblements, a Bloodchief's Thirst, 3 Binding of the Old Gods, an Infernal Grasp. Woo! The opponent's decks are rough. Actually, they might have discarded some of those. Maybe we didn't go through that many. I don't remember right now. Probably did go through that many though. Nice, yep. Now they only have 3 mana, so the Ray of Enfeeblement doesn't hit the Clarion Spirit. So they might have to block with the Titan of Industry next turn. Me hook for 1. Oh no. I wasn't ready for the meat hook for 1, guys. I've been playing around meat hook this whole time, and I wasn't ready for that. Woo! Tough stuff. We might as well draw, see what we can get here. And then also what's good about that is, yeah, we get the extra spirit. Might as well play that too. They're forced to block with Titan of Industry, but we know the binding comes down next turn. And so what needs to happen is our Katilda, they need to not power up Hive. We need to be able to keep the Katilda to plug into one of our other spirits. Okay. So this is a perfect example. Well, yeah. It depends. Meat hook gaining them life is really bad. Ray of Enfeeblement can hit the Luminous Phantom. Meat hook for 1. Oh no, guys. Well, I hope you guys have buckled up for the longest game of the season. Stomper. If we could draw a creature. Nope. Nope. That means Hive probably powers up and takes our one hope of winning. Yeah. We don't have that much land in here. What this does mean... Oh, Hive didn't power up. Oh. Okay, well, I mean, they probably just have other removal. Oh. Oh, Voice of the Blessed is so good. We just played all this turn. It doesn't matter. Just trust me, guys. If it's removal, it's removal. It doesn't matter. You gotta play it this turn. Oh, we knew they had Ray of Enfeeblement, though. Well, so yeah, no, like I said, it didn't matter. So no matter what we drew there, all of our cards are white, so anything could have gotten -4/-4, which means we should have just passed, let the Voice of the Blessed die to the Ray of Enfeeblement anyways. At least we would have still had Katilda's Rising Dawn available in the grave, but at any point, it can be power up Hive, and yeah. Wow, they're playing it slow, though. They're playing it very slow. Invoke Despair. Ow. My feelings, opponent. Don't you care about my feelings? Titan of Industry is about to slam onto that board. I'm gonna let him play it out. They're playing it like... Okay, never mind. They're playing it too slow. Let's try to get one more match in, guys. I'll drop the good game and I'll concede, and... Because Titan of Industry could have slammed down. And they could have made a 4/4, and I was like, oh yeah, this will be over in no time, but nah. At that point, the opponent could take their sweet time because they completely controlled the board state. So what are we hoping for? Well, we don't want to see another control build, that's for sure. And we really don't want to see a control build with Invoke Despair. Even though the Invoke Despair isn't what did us in that last match, it's kind of like just the general concept of my deck is packed with removal. What are you gonna do, aggro player? And so it's like, you know what I mean, guys? Hear me out. Clarion Spirit going wide is a lot. Wait, is this another mirror match? What a weird couple matches today, guys. Maybe I should have played ranked. Luminarch, yeah, swing on in. All yours. So we drew some land. We can successfully go you and you. Get some stuff going wide here. Plug you in the sky because that's going to be important. And successfully swing in for 2. Very nice. Luminarch, yeah. Doubling down on the Luminarchs isn't going to hurt nothing except for my face. That looks like a chump block that I'm not going to do this turn. Katilda, there we go. There we go. Let's continue to go wide and in the air first, and then drop the Katilda later. Go wide in the air. Buff, buff. Swing. Alright. 5 damage in the air right now. Katilda could just be a nail in the coffin when it hits the board. Gonna depend on what style of mono white they're actually running. So Apparition doesn't hit the tokens, and now the Apparition can't hit Katilda either. So we'll see, won't we? Yeah, they need removal for the Katilda, like right away. Removal for Katilda right away is going to be super important. We're going to chump this time round, guys, with the Usher. A little bit unfortunate, but you kind of, yeah, you want to. We definitely play the Plains this turn, because next turn we might draw another Plains, and then powering up Cave could put the nail in the coffin. Spread this out. 6 damage in the air. And they need removal for Katilda here. Even if they remove it, they need an answer for Cave if we draw a land. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff going on over there, opponent. Massive props to you. A swing before the removal makes sense to me. GG, opponent. There it is. Oh, man. Okay, so yeah. So they had 3 planes open, so they could have swung. We could chump here, take the 6, and then if it was removal, taking out the Katilda, then they're still alive, and we didn't have lifelink at that point. But they must not have had the removal for a Katilda, and that's how we do it against mono white, guys. 2 victories, 2 losses. Not too bad overall, honestly. The deck is obviously going to perform well against other creature decks, or it, not obviously necessarily. You'd think it would perform well against other creature decks, and then perform poorly against the control matchups, but not all control matchups. I do believe that the deck has a ridiculous amount of hidden strength, especially if you turn 1 Paladin Class, slow down like a blue-white control build, and then, yeah. So not all control decks are going to be really bad against this. I think this deck can keep up with mid-range builds as well, from Katilda just being super buff. Even the Hallowed Haunting just being able to keep up with whatever mid-range nonsense they're doing too. So it depends. What did you guys think of the deck overall today? We got a little bit obliterated in the middle of the video, but that's okay. Too bad it was just 2 mirror matches, but it feels really good to take out some classic mono white, doesn't it? Either way, if you made it this far into the video, y'all are champions, and I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.